And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey, a Dominion expansion! Were you expecting to see that? Yes, of course you were, although they're not coming out with the fanfare that they once did. This is Hinterlands. What does that mean? You know, I don't even know. It just means more cards, because no one cares about the theme of Dominion. But what you're looking for is an overarching theme to the cards in a set. Now, this is a large expansion. The last expansion, Cornucopia, was a half-size expansion, but this comes with a whole stinking ton of cards. You can't play it by itself, but, you know, it does bring a lot more cards than another expansion. So, maybe you've just gotten Dominion and you're thinking, is this the first expansion? Can I grab this one? Is that worth getting? Well, you know what? Yes. Okay, I'm supposed to show you first, but let's take a look at the game and see, is this an expansion that you would want, and where do I rank it amongst the current Dominion expansions? Now, we'll do what we normally do here, and that's where we talk about my least favorite cards and get to my favorites of this set. There's quite a few cards in this set, lots of different kinds of cards. And the main theme of this game, of these cards, is when you buy the card, something happens. Not all of the cards do that, but a lot of them do. And this is a good example, Ill-Gotten Gains. It's worth a coin, and when you play this, you can take a copper, putting that copper right into your hand. Okay, but when you gain this card, when you first buy the card for 5, everyone else gets a curse. So it's an interesting card, and I like the fact that when you play it, you get another copper, but I don't find it that useful in my games. I'm sure that it's because of a poor player. The Duchess gives you +2. Everyone else looks at the top card of their deck and discards it. And when you have the Duchess, when you buy a Duchy, you can gain a Duchess for free. So she's like an extra card to get. Still, not that useful, I think. Embassy is a neat card in that you get 5 cards and discard 3, but when you buy it, everyone else gets a silver. And I don't really like to give people anything, so I very rarely buy the Embassy. The Silver Merchant, you can trash a treasure from your hand. This is an interesting one because if you do this, you can trash a treasure, and then if you do that, you can take +2 cards and +1 action, a market basically, or get 2 extra gold in a buy, which means you can take a copper bag. This is an interesting way to cycle through coppers in your deck. And that's another theme of this expansion that I'm finding, is that it really makes copper more useful. Then we got Scheme and Inn and Silk Road is 1 for every 4 victory cards in your deck. Cartographer, look at the top 4 cards, put them in any order. Big deal. Oasis. This is an interesting one. It's +1 card, +1 action, +1 coin, and then discard a card. So it's like a poor version of the market, but it only costs 3. So you might, this one I could see some people might getting. Nomad Camp, +1 buy, +2, but when you buy it, you put it on top of your deck. Stables, discard a treasure to get 3 cards in an action. Margaret, I should mention, I do like the stables and the fact that if you're starting to get a lot of treasure cards in your hand, no, I don't know, it's not that useful, never mind. The Margrave makes other people discard a card, possibly. The Noble Brigand is very similar to the Thief in that he can make other people trash treasures and then take them. Not quite as powerful, but very useful and gives you a +1 on top of it. Oracle, Border Village, this is a really good card. We're getting into cards I really like now. The Border Village is a regular village, +1 card, +2 actions. But when you buy this, you also get a card that costs less than this. So if you take a card that costs 5, then you basically are getting this Border Village for 1, which is a really cool opportunity. Now, it's tough in the beginning of the game. Do you want a Border Village, which is basically this, and a 5-cost card, or do you want a gold? But I don't know. I really like the Border Village. Highway is just a +1 card, +1 action, but all the cards in play cost 1 less. That's very nice. Farmland. Here's another one I like a lot. When you buy this card, it costs 6, but you can trash a card from your hand and gain a card costing exactly 2 more than that card. So this is like a combination of the remodel card and gives you 2 victory points on top of that. That's a nice one. The Haggler, while this is in play, when you buy a card, you get a card that costs less than it. That's not a victory point card. So it's not a bad idea. This one lets you buy the gold and an action card if you get enough money with it, and I really think that's a cool idea. Crossroads, you get +1 card for every victory card in your hand, and if it's the first time you play it, you get +3 actions. This is very useful, especially in the later parts of the game, where you have a ton of victory point cards. Jack of all trades. This is a neat card, although it's complex. It's a gain of silver. Look at the top card of your deck. Discard it and put it back. Draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. You may trash a card from your hand that's not a treasure. So it does a whole pile of things. Nothing great. Jack of all trades and master of none. It's thematic, which is unusual for Dominion, but it's also a really interesting card. Develop, trash a card. This lets you gain a card that costs 1 more than it and a card that costs 1 less than it. It's kind of funky on how it works, and there's so many times where it would be so perfect if you just had but this 1 card in your hand and develop, but if you can pull it off, it's a neat trick. Mandarin's one I like. Plus 3 gold, but you have to put a card in the top of the deck, but who cares? And when you gain this, you put all the treasures you have in play on top of your deck in any order. It's very handy. When you buy this card, you get to use all that money again next turn. This card here is 3, and when you gain it, you gain 2 coppers. This is cheaper than a gold, but it sticks a lot more copper in your deck. Now, if you have ways to get rid of that copper or utilize it, then this is just an awesome card. And even still, it's going to be tempted to buy it just because it's 1 less than 6. A react card, the Tunnel. It's worth 2 victory points too, and when you discard this other than during a cleanup phase, you may reveal it. If you do, gain a gold. Very much like that. If someone makes you discard a card, please make me discard a card, because I discarded a Tunnel, and now I gained a gold. Fool's Gold. This is my second favorite card in the game. I love this one. It only costs 2, and it's worth 1 the first time you play it. Otherwise, it's worth 4. So if you buy a lot of Fool's Gold, that's a big deal. You get 2 of these in your hand, that's 5 gold. And you've only paid 4 coin to do so. Also, it's a react. If someone else gains a province, you can trash this from your hand and change it into gold, which is a big deal. So Fool's Gold is easily a card I like. But my favorite card is Trader. Trash any card from your hand. Gain a number of silvers equal to its cost in coin. I have trashed a province with this card just to take 8 silver cards and put them in my deck. That's just a fun thing to do. It may not be the best thing to do, but it's a lot of fun. And also, when you gain a card, you can show this card from your hand, and instead of gaining that card, you gain a silver. So someone makes you gain a curse, you get this card. Something makes you gain a copper, you get this card. Something makes you gain anything, you get this card. You get a silver instead. And so, when the trader's in the game, very much expect to see the silver pile deplete during that game. But it's still a lot of fun, and I'm always glad to see silvers get some love. So that's what I like about this expansion of different cards. It doesn't introduce anything that is radically different. It's just a bunch of, cards that add new things, and basically, when you buy cards, choices. I guess choice would be a theme of this game. And when you're looking at choices, if you were buying this expansion, and you bought Dominion, and you said, okay, what expansion would I buy next? This is one I would really recommend to beginners who don't want to add a whole ton to their game or whole new mechanics like Seaside does, or Alchemy, or Cornucopia. This just adds something very simple, but it does add a lot of variety. I think at this point, maybe, I don't know if Dominion is done or not. This seems like a good ending point for it. There's a ton of cards in the game. But of course, if another expansion comes out, I'll certainly play it. But this is one that I enjoy. I would rank it not as much as I like Seaside and Prosperity, but I do like it better than Alchemy, Cornucopia, and I might even like it better than Intrigue.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Yeah?